Here's another powerful communication podcast from Comsteria. If you're a previous media training client and you want some practice, we're now offering this on occasional Fridays due to client demand. And we've scheduled the first few Fridays where this is available. If you go to comsteria.co.uk/practice, you'll be able to access the booking calendar and the link and get the details. It's 30-minute slots. Not really teaching any media training theory in this, it's just one-to-one practice. So if you've had training with us or with someone else and you just want a shot at actually doing it, and you know I'll make it as realistic as possible, you can tell me in advance if there's anything particular you'd like me to cover. We'll do it via Zoom. I'll record it for you and give you some feedback and coaching on your performance. So it's really aimed at people who've already had media training and just want to put it into practice, have a go, and keep that muscle going, and maybe a wee bit of revision of your messaging and your best practice. So comsteria.co.uk/practice. I've scheduled a few Fridays. If you need more or these dates don't fit, then just drop me a note, colin@comsteria.co.uk. I want to talk today about a sort of extension of something I mentioned some time ago in a previous episode called the yes-no trap. So this is where a journalist takes a complicated issue and tries to catch you out by making it appear very simplistic. Can you be trusted? Yes or no? Is this going to work? Yes or no? All that. Are things sorted out now? Yes or no? And the advice we often give is, well, don't fall into the trap, because not everything can be made so simplistic, and you can get yourself in a real tight corner and make a bit of a fool of yourself by trying to give them a yes-no answer or trying to avoid it. So what I always suggest is that you say to them, well, this issue it's not a simplistic issue. It can't be summed up in the terms that you're suggesting. However, and then you say what you want to say. And that works quite well. Where it gets really difficult is if it's maybe a matter directly relating to safety. So if you're a local authority or transport authority, you're on the roads, and maybe there's a bad stretch of road where there's been a lot of accidents. You might have spent a little bit of money improving the road or changing something, putting extra signs up or something. And then a journalist comes along for an interview, and the question is, okay, you spent this money. Is this road safe? And that's a yes-no trap. And it puts you deliberately in a very difficult position where clearly you can't say, no, it isn't safe. Because then, well, why is the road open? Why is the cars on it just now? What are you playing at? But how confident and comfortable are you saying it is safe? And so what we often advise is you would say, well, yes, it's safe. And then you'd say if these conditions are met, if people obey the rules, if people drive within the speed limit, if people pay attention to the weather, if people keep a safe distance from the vehicle in front, yes, this road's safe. Even that might make you a little bit uncomfortable. And so my advice, and there might be exceptions to this, and we would always work with your comms team, maybe HR and legal might have a take on this as well. But my advice is, if you think that question's likely to come up, and I think in the circumstance I've just suggested, it's a perfectly legitimate question. We can understand why journalists would ask that. Is it safe? Okay? But if you don't feel comfortable saying, yes, it's safe, or yes, it's safe with these conditions attached, if you don't feel good doing that, then don't give the interview. So make sure you do the assessment, the scanning beforehand, the anticipating. Well, we've just spent this money doing up this road where there's been lots of accidents. Pretty reasonable that a journalist's going to ask, is it safe? We've just reopened the hotel kitchen after a bad spate of food poisoning. Quite reasonable, isn't it, that a journalist's going to say, is this food safe? If you can't stand there and say yes, or at the very least, well, if people do this, this and this and work within the rules, then yes, it's safe. If you can't do that, don't give the interview, because your instinct is right. They probably are going to ask you if it's safe. And clearly you can't say no, it isn't. And if you're not confident or not allowed to say yes it is, then dancing around it is going to be catastrophic for you. So much of the key to good media training or good interviews, good media engagement, is anticipating what's going to be asked. Because if you anticipate it, then you've got a chance at going and fixing it and figuring out what you're going to say, or you can avoid the interview altogether. Thanks for listening. Remember, check out comsteria.co.uk/practice if you're interested in one-to-one interview practice.